Hey everyone, quick background as to sort of who I am and what I do. Previously, I was heading up the marketing and investor relations at Argon Group, so an advisory firm for capital raising for ICOs, both on the securities and utility side of things, and recently joined Masterworks in the last sort of month and a half. I've done quite a few of these presentations and around sort of asset-backed securities, tokenized securities, that sort of thing. But what seems to just sort of float best is the 2 minutes that I typically gave to Masterworks. So I'm going to give it a shot today, just sort of taking you through what we do with artwork and the purchases that we made, how we asset and tokenize each one of those, and happy to take any questions when we finish. So look, Masterworks is a platform that allows you to own shares or equity in multi-million-dollar pieces of artwork. So it's an asset-backed token, asset-backed security that is ultimately tokenized. So the themes of today that we're essentially covering off is fractional ownership and art as an investment generally. A quick bit of history as to sort of who Masterworks is and how we came about. Although we're established in September of 2017, this has really been a concept sort of 20 years in the making. Our founder, Scott Lynn, is a very prominent internet entrepreneur who's been in the space for the last 2 decades. Yes, he looks young because he is young. He came out of high school with having developed one of the first sort of interactive banner ads where you could essentially sort of capture data, and was in its simplest form sort of data mining back in the late 90s. He then built a number of companies up to be valued at over $1 billion, but also while sort of building up this empire, was a very sort of avid art collector. So he has a top 100 art collection that's globally recognized, valued at over $100 million. And it's not surprising that he's taken an interest in art as an investment. As he rightly says, outside of technology startups, he's made higher returns investing in art than anything else. So this was really sort of a case of passions collide between tech and art. Just a simple example of an acquisition he made in 2012. Again, always looking at sort of blue chip artists. So Kooning, he purchased for $7.4 million. 2 years later, sold it for nearly 14. So he's been in the space for a number of years and just well versed in what to sort of select as an investment grade art piece. The team currently consists of about 15 of us full-time in-house with Masterworks. We're headquartered out of New York. So we have people that have previously worked for top auction houses like Christie's, Sotheby's, ArtNet. These are sort of art analysts and market specialists, predominantly within the Masterworks team, as well as the tech side of things. So the developers building out a platform, as well as sort of marketing and sales. So investing in art in general, I think this is one of my sort of one of the funnest, more fun slides in the deck, because when talking about crypto, I think one of the biggest issues in investing in crypto is expectations. Now, if you entered crypto in the late 2017s, early 2018, and were participating in ICOs, it was happy days, it was raining money. Investing in art in comparison to your sort of traditional indexes such as S&P 500, looking at gold, it over the last 20 years has consistently outperformed these indexes. So you're looking at around sort of like a 10.71% compound annual growth in comparison to sort of S&P 500 over the last 20 years of 8.33%. So as an actual investment vehicle, it's sound. And it's not just us sort of preaching this. This is just a recent Deloitte financial report that came out specifically looking at art and art as an investment vehicle. And as it states, 88% of wealth managers are now looking to include art and collectibles in their portfolio, with 40% of high net worth individuals also participating. And I think that comes down to things like sort of the political environment and external factors that affect your traditional markets. And millennial buyers as well, being the fastest growing segment investing in art, sort of shows where the skew is and sort of new money coming into the market. As far as standard deviation or risk to reward is concerned, again, looking at art as an investment, standard deviation is lower than that of, say, S&P 500. And again, it comes to the outside factors affecting the stock price. But what's most interesting, I think, is how Masterworks is actually operating. As I'd mentioned, we are a security, an asset-backed security. So with our artwork, it's not raising capital to purchase the artwork, not at all. We identify specific pieces from blue chip artists, from Andy Warhol to Claude Monet through to Picasso, and we make those acquisitions. We then qualify it with the SEC under Reg A+, which ultimately means that it's accessible to both accredited and non-accredited investors here in the US. And then we tokenize. So as I'd mentioned, you can purchase shares or equity in these specific pieces of artwork, and those shares are represented as ERC20 tokens. The purpose of the ERC20 tokens is obviously the tradability as and when we see the securities exchanges launch here in the US. So the current offerings that we have, or assets that we have under management, as I said, sort of beginning of September 2017, we purchased an Andy Warhol for close to $2 million. That's currently being qualified with the SEC, so we should expect to receive that approval within the next 7 to 10 days. So that's been an ongoing process over the last 5 to 6 months to get that qualified, and the reason being that sort of length of time is because it looks likely that we will be the first securitized and tokenized asset to hit the market under Reg A+. The second acquisition was a Claude Monet for $6.3 million in June of this year, and we'll continue to acquire, tokenize, and securitize each asset. So how it works is essentially, as I said, it's purchasing shares or limited equity in these artworks. We sell 100% of the artwork to the public, and share price is roughly between $19 and $21. And how you realize returns, of course, there is through the sale. So if we are to receive a private offer, or as and when we decide to go to market and auction. It's also important to note that we only purchase artworks from the top 3 auction houses, again being Christie's, Sotheby's, and Phillips. So we have sort of provenance records, we have authenticity records, etc. And we're also in the middle of developing our own securities exchange specifically for artwork. So the idea is that within 3 years' time we'll have X sort of $100 million of dollars of assets under management, and these tokens will be freely tradable. Also coming soon in 2019. More for the sort of emotional side of things, we are looking to open a gallery in New York City, which will display the artworks for those to freely sort of flow in and view. So that's us at Masterworks. As I've mentioned, we're likely to be the first tokenized security under Reg A+ to enter the market in the next sort of 5 to 10 days. So keep your eyes out on CNN, Bloomberg, and Forbes. We are currently just drafting our releases with. So it's exciting times for us, and you can expect sort of more assets to come under management with time. So any questions? Yeah.
Are there voting rights?
Yes. So in order to sell or sort of shift the painting, it comes down to shareholder vote. Yeah.
This is one of the most easily understandable applications of tokenization I've ever seen.
So
Thank you for being here, and thanks for
yeah, look, so that's actually one of the reasons what drew me to Masterworks is it's a very complex market, as we know, with leading with tech. And although the tech is what's sort of driving the brains behind it, in this case, tech is driving these sort of fractional ownership, the tokenization, the democratization of ownership. It's very easy to digest and explain sort of concept. And I think there needs to be sort of more of it, less sort of I suppose, focus on the actual tech and the blockchain tech, more sort of focus on the consumer sort of adoption side in order to push this forward. Any other questions? Yeah?
What's the advantage of using a blockchain versus a gold securitization?
Yeah, sure. So there's two sort of advantages or reasons as to why we've gone with Ethereum. One is just transparency of ownership. One of the issues in the art world is that sort of transparency around certainly who has owned what and when, but mainly for the trading of the actual shares. So being an ERC20 token, we've essentially created this sort of global liquidity as opposed to sort of like pink sheets and just trading on within the US. Make sense? Yeah.
Why build your own exchange versus using existing exchanges?
So we are going to be integrating with other securities exchanges. So we're in discussions with the likes of all those you'd imagine, T0s, Harbour, Open Finance, etc. So we will be listed on other exchanges. It's funny because we're developing it because we have, in the sense that we'd spent the last 7-8 months building this exchange. So we will have the liquidity and a place for the liquidity. And over time, the vision and mission is to have quite a large amount of assets under management and essentially have the stock market for fine art. But absolutely, we'll be you'll see us on other securities exchanges without doubt. Cool.
Fascinating. Okay.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Big round of applause for Richard.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,